This may look like the finale of the hunt. The lioness tightens her grip on the antelope's throat and begins dragging the prey towards the den. However, the cunning hoofed animal is only pretending to be injured. The lioness prematurely believed in her victory and loosened her grip. In a crucial moment, the antelope performs an incredible trick, twisting to stand up from a lying position, all while the lioness continues to squeeze its throat. The predatory cat did not expect this. It tried to bring down the hoofed animal again, but the antelope found a second wind. It turns the tables on the lioness, tossing the enemy off its back. Even while lying on the ground right under the herbivore's hooves, the lioness attempted to strangle the antelope, but she had to release the prey and hide in the bushes. Today we will show you other instances where predators underestimated their opponents and paid the price. A lioness ambushed a zebra suddenly and was able to catch the fleeing prey when she received a devastating blow straight to her chest. The zebra kicked the huntress during her jump. The force of the hoof strike was so immense that the lioness's flight was cut short and she crashed to the ground. It's curious, did she survive that at all? Here, a lioness tried to sneak up on a small Thompson's gazelle, thinking that it wouldn't offer much resistance. The sand-colored fur and the ability to stalk closely with bent legs allowed the predatory cat to approach the prey very closely and make a beautiful, decisive leap. But the lioness didn't know who she was messing with. The Thompson's gazelle is one of the fastest animals in the world. The hoofed animal had just a fraction of a moment to gain the necessary speed, but it effortlessly evaded the lioness's grasp, then sharply veered away, completely breaking free and escaping. The lioness had no chance. A leopard cautiously approached warthogs, intending to pounce on one of them at the decisive moment. The cat wanted to catch the hoofed animals off guard, seized the target's throat while the others scattered in panic. But the leopard didn't know who it was dealing with. It was noticed just a moment before the leap, but the warthogs did something that the predator did not expect. One of them ran straight at the panther, saving its mate, and knocked the predator to the ground with a powerful strike. The agile leopard immediately jumped up, yet injured from the encounter from the tusked opponent, the predator couldn't run particularly fast. The furious warthogs didn't let go of the enemy. They caught up with it, and 3 of them attacked the predator, trampling it in the dust. Their fierce blows dealt serious damage to the panther. Only at the last moment did the leopard manage to leap over the adversaries. Even then, the warthogs tried to reach the predator right in the air. If they had knocked it to the ground, they would have surely finished it off. Fortunately, the leopard's quick reaction speed allowed it to evade fatal blows, escape the encirclement, and flee. It managed to survive, but this will be a lesson for the predator. One should not underestimate warthogs, which, to protect their family members, are willing to be the first to attack a powerful predator. Such devotion to family really deserves your like, does it not? A young, inexperienced yet quite strong lion, together with a more seasoned lioness, decided to attack a whole herd of hoofed animals. Probably, if they were dealing with zebras or wildebeests, their plan would have succeeded. However, the young lions went after buffaloes and underestimated their opponents when they chose a direct confrontation. Initially, they sneaked up on the herbivores, but then leaped out of the tall grass and rushed at them together. The predators tried to sow panic among the hoofed animals and attack the fleeing ones from behind. This was the only way to nullify the numerical advantage of the opponent. But the bulls turned towards the panthers with their faces and acted against the enemies as one. Initially, the hoofed animals stood their ground, and the lions assumed that the sudden appearance of predators would make the bulls freeze in place. So the inexperienced cats continued the attack. However, as soon as the lions approached close enough, the buffaloes launched a furious counterattack. A lion's weight can reach 1/4 ton, but the young cats are much lighter. They already possess considerable strength, but even one bull is approximately 3 times more massive and stronger than each of the predators. And when the bulls attack together, the lions have no chance of success. Now they need to think about their own survival. A swift charge from the buffalo made the lions recoil, as if frightened school children. Underestimating the bravery of these buffaloes was a mistake. The lions still tried to assess the situation, hoping to attack some particularly audacious bull from the side. But the buffaloes left no chance for success. The lions had to retreat. After a prolonged and exhausting chase, a pack of 14 wolves finally managed to bring down a massive deer. However, the gray predators didn't really know whose territory they were amusing themselves on. A huge brown bear weighing just under half a ton emerged from the bushes to reclaim the prey from the competitors. The pack engaged with the wrong opponent. The bear acted impressively assertive. It immediately pounced on the deer, overturned it, and started his lunge. The wolves were shocked by such audacity, but they hesitated to attack. They were tired, and the bear wisely showed no aggression towards them. It moved forcefully on purpose, demonstrating its strength but not really posing a threat to the pack. The bear seemed to be collecting a toll. The wolves had no choice but to let him have their prey if they didn't want to fight with an unpredictable outcome. It's a pity for all their efforts, of course, but the bear's ability to navigate the situation deserves respect and your like as well, doesn't it? Here the wolves play the role of robbers. Let's give credit where credit's due. Attacking only in pairs against 2 hungry grizzlies right in the middle of the giant predator's meal was bold. Or foolish. It depends on the perspective. In any case, the wolves elegantly swooped down on their opponents, suddenly descending from the slope. However, the unexpected appearance of the wolves didn't deter the bears. They stood their ground against the attackers. A real positional struggle began here. The task for the smaller predators was to rely on endurance and to provoke aggression from the bears. Larger and stronger, the bears only yielded to their opponents in endurance. Beating the bears and scaring them away from the meat could only be achieved by luring them into a chase and then swiftly counter-attacking. The wolves began to implement their plan. They teased the bears, irritated them, provoked them, drove them away from their prey, and made feigned attacks. The giant bears nonetheless didn't fall for the provocations and acted much more calculatedly than their enemies would have preferred. The bears powerfully responded to every attack, drove away the wolves, chased them, but never strayed far from their prey. They didn't allow themselves to be drawn into an exhausting long chase and always returned to their partner. Wolves are known for their intelligence, but underestimating the intellect of bears was honestly a mistake. These enormous beasts deciphered the cunning of the wolves and defended the found prey. The wolves had to retreat. They realized that with each feigned attack, they only got closer to the enemy and were at a greater risk of exposing themselves to the devastating blow of a bear's paw. If you think the bears always prevail over wolves regardless of the wolves' numerical advantage, then you are mistaken. Here, a huge grizzly bear roamed on the territory of a pack of very bold wolves in search of food. They noticed the competitor and were the first to rush into battle. The bear, in rage, gave a determined resistance to the wolves, but they demonstrated cunning. The bear broke free from the encirclement, scattering the wolves who dodged his powerful strikes, forcing them to just constantly maneuver. This way, the bear managed to avoid being trapped. However, the enormous predator underestimated its clever opponents. The wolves attacked the bear again and turned his favorite fighting tactic against the giant himself. The bear would break free from the encirclement, attacking one wolf or another. When the grizzly lunged at a member of the pack, that wolf would run straight, luring the bear to follow. The other wolves immediately attacked the bear's back. He tried to fend off the attack, but the situation repeated. The wolves sought a gap in the grizzly's defense, waited for him to make a mistake, and moved too slowly to turn for a strike, exposing his paw, back, or face to the opponent's fangs. Wolves are incredibly enduring and can afford to be patient. The bear understood this, but could do nothing about it. When he stood still, he was attacked from different sides. When he broke free from the encirclement, they immediately pounced on his back. He couldn't catch even one wolf. Finally, the constant wolf attacks pushed the bear to the brink of panic, and he began to run with all his remaining strength. Even the wolves don't finish him off. He won't appear on their territory ever again. A massive buffalo chases a lion as if a greyhound chases a rabbit. The powerful male lion runs away in shock. Judging by their surprise on the predator's face, he can't believe the audacity of the prey. But he has to run away because the buffalo is twice as massive as even an adult and strong lion. If the hoofed animal catches the enemy at this speed, it will knock him to the ground and trample him. Perhaps the lion would survive such a trouncing, but risking it during a hunt is not beneficial. The lion runs away right in front of the other members of his hunting group. It turns out that this was not the last fit of rage before the fatal end for the buffalo, but its cunning plan. Predators surrounded it, then gradually began to tighten the circle. Sooner or later, one or two predators would leap onto the bear's back, and another would grab him by the throat, ending the battle. But instead of that, the hoofed animal gathered courage and employed the best defense tactic he had, which was a furious counterattack. A ramming attack on the lion and the predator's escape allowed the herbivore to break out of the encirclement before the other predators realized what had even happened. It was not worth underestimating its aggression and cunning. When the buffalo found itself out of reach of the lioness, it immediately stopped and began to retreat. It didn't plan to fight the lion, but simply broke free from the siege. Now it all depends on the speed of its run. Of course, escaping is also risky, but its family members are not far away. If it manages to return to them, the buffalo will be saved. So let's wish it luck. Even if you usually root for predators, you've got to agree that such composure, endurance, and courage from an herbivore deserve respect, don't they? A lone hyena noticed a family of buffaloes. The predatory animal couldn't count on victory even over a very young calf when both of its enormous and powerful parents were nearby. It seems like the father and mother are calming the baby so that it doesn't worry. But under the intense gaze of the hyena, anyone would feel uneasy. Moreover, there is a risk that the hyena is just waiting for the other members of the pack to arrive for a joint strike. However, they could repel the calf and deal with it. So the male decides to strike at the hyena. Perhaps he simply doesn't like it when someone's staring at his little one like it's lunch. In any case, the predator underestimated the determination of the hoofed animals. The bull charged the hyena in a frontal attack, and the hunter had to save its life. Chimpanzees only seem like cute little monkeys. In fact, they are cruel scumbags who often harm other creatures for no reason. And here, a really gang of chimpanzees found a raccoon in their enclosure, which was just exploring the neighborhood. The kid quickly realized that getting to know large relative to himself and completely inadequate primates would not bring him anything good. So he tried to hide in the thicket. The chimpanzees tried to catch an interesting creature for them. What happened next leaves more questions than answers. The raccoon literally flew out of the bushes and in flight did a triple somersault with its limbs stretched out in different directions. How did he do this acrobatic trick? Was he performing in a circus, or did he grab onto something with his front paws when the primates were pulling on his hind legs and then let go? How do you think the little beast did such a trick like this? Pay attention, he not only survived, but was also able to quickly cope with dizziness and tried to hide in the pipe. Unfortunately, the cruel chimpanzees caught him by the tail and did not let him escape, but they didn't know who they were dealing with. The little raccoon got out by himself and forced himself to let go with a painful bite. It remains to be hoped that he will be able to get out of this mess. Would you have intervened if you had witnessed the scene at the zoo? Reply in the comments. Pinnipeds are cute creatures, but they are remembered not only because of memes. This sea lion is clearly against kayakers swimming in his favorite lagoon. It can be understood. A lot of noise, perhaps even garbage, and in general a whole crowd of athletes does not really contribute to a measured rhythm of life. And the pinniped showed its discontent brutally, unequivocally, and very much in the spirit of neighborhood conflicts. The sea lion just swam up to one of the kayakers and contemptuously threw an octopus right in the face. This insult stunned the man. Pinnipeds, of course, do not cause any harm to humans, but the kayaker clearly did not expect this sort of development. Maybe the animal is on the contrary, shows sympathy and shares some lunch. What do you think? Share your opinion in the comments. In any case, no matter how funny seals and sea lions are, they should not be underestimated. This dog tested the patience of the pinniped for a long time. He barked and came closer and closer. There doesn't seem to be any serious threat, but this is pretty infuriating, isn't it? So the sea lion was enraged. His reaction was lightning fast. He just grabbed the dog with his jaws and threw him back 10 feet. Moreover, the dog immediately jumped to his feet. It did not receive any serious injuries. It was clearly grabbed quite neatly and was rather stunned by fights than hit the ground. But she will have to learn a lesson. Otherwise, she will fly into the sea next time. By the way, if you would like some more funny stories, then write about it in the comments underneath this video. Although digging is an exhausting activity, for many animals it is a really good way to avoid unnecessary predator attention. Therefore, warthogs often arrange their lairs in burrows. Although it is inconvenient to dig with their hooves, their fangs are perfect for loosening the earth. But this warthog underestimated the determination of the leopard that found its hidden burrow. The spotted predator was already a little tired. To get to the victim, he had to greatly expand the entrance and dig much more than the warthog itself. For not the most hardy cat, this is a real test. But leopards should not be underestimated. He managed to get to the very bottom of the hole and dig out a large boar, taking it right by the throat. In a narrow passage, it was not difficult for the cat to grab the opponent by the vulnerable spot. The warthog did not take this into account. If he had been the first to run out of the hole, or at least protect his throat, he would have had a chance, because the leopard was tired. And so, a well-aimed blow to a vulnerable point brought victory to the patient cat. And there are cases when even the most sworn enemies unite for the sake of a common goal. This lioness didn't have the easiest day. She managed to find the warthog's lair, but it turned out to be a hole that still needs to be dug. Actually, lion paws are good for this. White pillows, powerful muscles. But still, digging is not what these predatory cats are good at. The lioness has to put a lot of effort into this. But the main thing is that cats are not the most hardy and patient predators by nature. They can produce impressive results, but at short distances. Chasing prey for a long time, digging, running, fighting, it's more about wolves, not about lions. Therefore, when an adult and large warthog rebuffed the lioness, she was already tired. We must pay tribute to her. The predatory cat was able to overwhelm the victim and grab her by the throat with its fangs. Except she didn't bite the vessels on the prey's neck, but squeezed the trachea. A lioness also needs stamina to strangle. My strength is running out. The victim is strong and desperately resists. And then the hyena appears. A more stupid and inexperienced predator in her place would have tried to attack an opponent in order to take away his prey. Such cases have happened more than once. A hyena attacks, for example, a leopard while it has already caught and strangles an unfinished prey. The hyena's attack fails. The leopard avoids meeting its fangs. But the hyena does not have time to grab the opponent's prey either. The unfinished victim is only glad of such competition and takes his chance. She jumps up and often successfully escapes from both predators. And the leopard jumps back and dodges the blow. And the victim breaks 3, bounces off the hyena, and escapes from the predators. As a result, all predators remain hungry. It seems that this hyena is an experienced robber and has already been in such situations. She understands that it is better to take a chance and share lunch with the enemy than to leave everyone without food. Therefore, the hyena does something that neither the lioness nor the warthog expected from her. The hyena helps her sworn enemy. When the warthog is about to break free from the lioness's grip, the hyena attacks it with its powerful jaws. As a result, predators of not only different but also hostile species collectively overwhelmed and finished off the boar. Surprisingly, the lioness showed reciprocal nobility and did not drive away the hyena or even establish a feeding order. The two of them dined on the loop together. It is unlikely that this truce will go beyond one episode, but the case itself is pretty rare. It is necessary to recognize the courage of this buffalo. His attack on the rhino is really impressive, because only a desperately brave creature can attack someone with such an advantage in strength. Externally, it may seem that the difference between these animals is insignificant, but that's not the case. The bull reaches a mass of about a ton. That's a lot, except the rhinoceros is 3 times heavier. He also has an almost impenetrable armored hide and specific combat tactics. The bull was clearly mistaken in his assessment of the enemy's forces. In fact, the rhinoceros is betting on one crown blow, but the beast has mastered it perfectly. This is a dangerous blow from the bottom up with a curved, long, and sharp horn, which threatens to pierce the belly of the bull and get to its internal organs. The bull clearly did not understand who he was messing with. For a while, he's holding up well, trying to push the enemy at the expense of experience and the ability to keep a foothold. But the rhinoceros still sweeps away the opponent with a crushing battering ram and then drags him along the ground and at the same time delivers terrible blows to the bull. The bull survived, but he remains disappointed to plow the ground with his horns. An adult wildebeest and zebras know that when crossing a body of water, the main danger is crocodiles. These huge reptiles hide perfectly in muddy water, and thanks to the suitable color of their durable scales, they become almost invisible. Therefore, a sudden attack from under the water often takes ungulates by surprise. To prevent this, here a small herd literally runs across the river and looks straight ahead in order to react in time to the appearance of the reptile, jump over it, and then also even trample it. But the danger lurked where it was not expected. The ungulates had no idea that they would encounter not a predatory reptile here, but a leopard. Moreover, he hid under the slope of the shore and thanks to the concentration of the ungulates of the water, remained completely unnoticed. For him, such a fast run of ungulates past was a real gift. You could watch them and choose your prey to your liking. The leopard did just that. It rushed at the family of zebras from behind and attacked a young individual. The predator acted so abruptly and quickly that the mother simply did not have time to react, and the leopard grabbed the young zebra and immediately rushed back. He accurately grabbed the prey by the throat under the jaws, in the most vulnerable place, used inertia overload, and broke the trachea with one blow. It usually takes a leopard a couple of minutes to strangle its prey, but these ungulates did not know who they were messing with. Thanks to the experience and expertly executed technique, the predator overpowered the victim in a matter of seconds. Rams have a bad habit, actually. They like to butt heads not only with other rams and equal rivals, but also with any other animals in general, including with their neighbors on the farm. Rams even attack much larger and more massive cows. When a ram attacks a pig or dogs, it's unpleasant, but sooner or later, any gangster meets an even cooler aggressor. It turned out that way here, provoking this stallion was a fatal mistake of the ram. The horse did not play wrestling, ram the opponent, or kick. The stallion immediately used the most destructive weapon in his arsenal, his teeth. He took advantage of the height advantage and was able to grab the ram across the back with his jaws, accurately hitting the bite right on the spine. And the consequences were devastating. The strength of the jaws turned out to be so huge that the stallion literally broke the ram's spine in a couple of seconds. After that, the enraged horse lifted the ram above itself and began to shake it from side to side. The person who witnessed this scene would be glad to help the loser. But at this stage, it is wiser to wait for the horse to just calm down. Which of today's cases when the animal received a powerful rebuff struck you the most?